Welcome to the second episode of your favorite baseball podcast about your favorite division in baseball. My name is Sam Clark, and with me, as always, is Mr. Brandon Gross. Brandon, how you doing today?
Doing great. Episode number 2. We're cooking. We got some good feedback on the first one. You know, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I don't want to brag. We had 15 Spotify listeners, so watch out, John Boy. We're coming in hot.
We're like a 90s grunge band that did a spin-off band.
We opened up for Nirvana once.
Mm-hmm. And by Nirvana, I mean Chris Novoselic's spin-off band.
You know, that artist I definitely know and that band I've definitely heard of. Brandon, it's too early for you to be dropping all of these obscure classic rock references. We're like a minute and 30 seconds in.
No, dude, he's the bassist in Nirvana. Come on now.
Oh, okay, all right. Everybody, that is, of the 3 members of Nirvana, absolutely the least famous or popular member of Nirvana.
That's why I picked him. Come on. Comedy.
Not Dave Grohl, not Kurt Cobain, but
Chris Novoselic.
That's exactly what I said.
He posted some vague Trump endorsement early in the pandemic, but then he was like, whoa. He's like, no, I don't like any candidate.
Oh, dude, my most famous memory of him and my only memory of him is him throwing, I think it was at the MTV VMAs or something, Nirvana's playing live, and he throws the bass up in the air, and it clocks him in the head and knocks him out for a second.
Yeah.
You know that video?
Yeah, and then after that, he just couldn't form another band after Nirvana.
He's like, I think I like this Trump guy.
Yeah. Not talking bad about Chris. God bless him.
God bless him.
Nirvana's great.
He's doing God's work. I actually got into a weird Nirvana phase like the last 6 months. I've been like...
Me too, dude.
No way, really?
Last year, like at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah. I like never got into them. Like I didn't do In Utero or any of like the classic records, and I like went back and checked them out for the first time and was just shocked at how enjoyable I found it. I always just like wrote them off as this is not fair to Nirvana, but like a JCPenney's band t-shirt band, you know what I mean? Like one of those bands that's t-shirt is just in every department store across America.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of loathe that shirt that has like the weird squiggly face that looks like graffiti.
That's exactly the shirt.
I kind of loathe that shirt. Yeah. But also, it's kind of like how Led Zeppelin has like the Icarus, the man with the wings shirt.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know, it's kind of annoying, but no, I agree with you. Great albums.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other bands that like qualify as a JCPenney's band. Like Led Zeppelin, definitely. AC/DC has got to be like one of the number ones, right?
Yeah, Bob Marley kind of is a JCPenney artist.
That's true. Bob Marley
gonna be artist.
Bob Marley, yeah,
gonna be honest.
Gonna be artist. Okay, yeah, but
gonna be artist.
I went and listened to Nevermind, and then I was just astonished that I knew the first 6 songs on the album. Like every song is a banger right out the get go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even like the B-side stuff. I'm on a plane.
I'm on a plane. Oh, dude. Yeah, that's a classic. This is a big shout out. My friend Nate was the one who Nate and Danny turned me on to the Nirvana record. So they're going to, also 2 of our 15 listeners. So they're going to love this. That's
very funny that they turned you on to Nirvana like, in 2021.
They're like, Sam, you might like this underground band you've never heard of. Have you ever heard of Nirvana?
Hey, check out Abbey Road after that.
Oh, I think I've heard about that before. All right, Brandon, we got a big show coming up today. We have we're going to talk about my long-term gambling bets that I made. We're going to do a little breakdown of the rough week that happened in the NL East, some more 60-second stories. But first things first, dude, we got to talk about last night. How are you feeling? Mets bullpen just the LOL Mets, the LOL Mets came out strong last night, dude.
Listen, okay, you can change the bullpen, but you can't take the Mets out of the bullpen. You know, some expression like that. Because
there's still the logo's still on the jersey.
Yeah, the players that gave it up were new additions to the bullpen. Trevor May, who was pretty much their big relief acquisition. He's
Aquaman / relief pitcher / all-time YouTuber.
How funny would that be if he did give himself the moniker the Aquaman? Okay, I don't know.
We're onto something here. We're cooking. No, it really was though. Trevor May like got the bases loaded, and then they brought in that lefty from Tampa Bay who just immediately plunked somebody.
Bryce Harper,
Bryce Harper.
Yeah, he's the lefty specialist. Dude. So, I mean, obviously, not a good omen. But also, what I'm going to say is, the Mets historically have a fantastic opening day record. Where I believe it was 39-20 before yesterday, trying to go for that 40-20. But you know what? Normally they'll win on opening day, and then their season's terrible. But this year, reverse it. Back it up, reverse it, loop, there it is.
So wait, you're thinking this is a sign of things to come. You're thinking this is a full reversal of everything where you lose opening day but then have a winning record.
Absolutely. It's a butterfly effect.
Butterfly Effect starring Ashton Kutcher. Great movie, but not as good as the movie that was Jacob deGrom pitching last night. What'd you think of that transition? That was pretty good, right?
That was tasty.
I'm getting this podcast thing down, I think.
Ooh, he's good. You should let's do a fake sponsor though.
Ooh, yes, sponsored by FX Movies. I think that's the only time I would have ever watched Butterfly Effect.
Sponsored by FX Movies at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. Butterfly Effect.
Ooh, yeah. You see it when your dad is hungover on the couch.
Yeah.
He fell asleep watching Die Hard.
Die Hard into Butterfly Effect? That's good programming.
Yeah, that's called a double feature movie.
Well, I guess, you know what the tie-in would be? Demi Moore. Because it's Bruce Willis into Ashton Kutcher, both formerly married to Demi Moore.
Dude, wow, that's like I don't know, that's kind of like 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon, but instead, like, I guess there's only 2 people that Demi Moore's ever been married to,
I don't
right?
know.
How many people
I don't know what her
her
relationship status is at the moment. But to tie that back into the Mets, though, I once saw Bruce Willis at a Mets spring training game in Port St. Lucie.
Oh, no way. Is he a Mets fan?
I think he's a Phillies fan because he's from Philly, but they weren't playing the Phillies.
True. That actually makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they can have him.
So how are you feeling? Because we were texting during this Mets game. DeGrom was like looking like peak DeGrom, hitting 102 at some situations. And then the offense just was not there to back him up again. The bullpen fell apart, and before you knew it, was 5-2 after the end of the 8th, right?
Yeah. In his defense, obviously we had the little COVID break because of Nationals, which I know we're going to get to.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I was worried in the first because Hoskins hit like a rocket that he thought was a homer, and he gave a little fist pump when he ran to first base, but they ended up throwing him out at Pilar ended up
at third, right?
Hitting the cutoff man and McNeil and tossing him out at third base. So, I was a little worried that maybe he'd be rusty, but yeah, he cruised after that, hitting 101, hitting 102. The man like gets older and like his velocity increases. Actually, statistically it does.
Every single season for like 3 seasons in a row, he's like increased his velocity by like half a tick.
Yeah, it's freakish. And obviously the man's not doing steroids because he's a little beanpole man. He's a tall he's a tall beanpole man.
Yeah, if he had any muscle, we would assume that this was some sort of steroid use, but it's not. But Brandon, we're going to transition now into my bets. Let me tell you a little bit about how it works to legally bet in New York City. You have to take the PATH train into Hoboken, and then you get to Hoboken where it is legal to bet. But as you know, right now we are in COVID, so you don't go inside anywhere. Before, like last season, I would go into like a bar or a restaurant or something, and me and my friend Chris and Nate would just go and put some bets on. But like now it was Chris and I in the rain, backpacks in hand or backpacks in back, walking around Hoboken. Which not maybe this is our new sponsor, a Hoboken tourist travel. Hoboken's a pretty nice place. A little gross in the rain though. We were walking around. It's like just right across the Hudson. And we found this pizza shop with one outdoor table covered. So we sat down, ordered a pizza, and put in some long-term bets. And one of my first bets was Jacob deGrom, NL MVP. What do you think of that?
2 thoughts. First one, what was in your backpacks? You mentioned the backpacks.
Yeah. So in my backpack was one sweater because of the rain and the cold. A laptop in case my phone wasn't fit for the DraftKings app, and Moneyball, which I'm embarrassingly reading for the first time right now.
Oh, how fitting! I love it. Moneyball's great, though.
I know. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting bet. Obviously, you're going to have the people that vote on that are going to be hesitant if he doesn't get the 20-plus wins. And obviously, as we know from DeGrom's past, classic Mets offense doesn't score for him. Bullpen blows it. So we saw it yesterday. Mm-hmm. He always ends up with about 11 wins and like a 1.7 ERA, So,
yeah.
I would say that you might have some issues winning that bet in that regard because there will be people that are hesitant to vote for someone for MVP that doesn't have a pitcher that doesn't have the wins.
Yeah, the most traditional of statistics for pitchers.
Especially for the old school boys that are voting for that. However, I love it. I mean, obviously, it's clear that he's the best pitcher in the majors. Not just as a Mets fan, as a homer. He's the best pitcher. People try to say Garrett Cole. In fantasy for ESPN, Garrett Cole's ranked higher as a starting pitcher if you do both leagues.
Wild.
Absurd.
I know, wild.
Absurd.
Yeah, absolutely absurd.
Watch the man pitch. Watch the man pitch. And also, he's upset if he gives up a walk. And you can see how hard he is, how much of a perfectionist he is. We're watching someone, as Marcus Stroman, the Mets' number 2 pitcher, says, people are going to be talking about DeGrom for 100 years. And for someone who knows the craft like Stroman, I 100% believe him.
And Stroman also said recently that he would never ask for a teammate or peer's autograph except for Jacob deGrom because he knows he's something special, which I feel like is a great ringing endorsement for how good he is. My logic, so let me talk to you about my logic. Also, let me give you I don't have the direct odds, and I don't think you're not especially familiar with gambling odds,
not
right?
to be a guy that quotes The Office, but you're going to need to explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay. Wow, Brandon's office guy energy.
Office guy.
Oh my God. Are you gonna, for Halloween, are you gonna wear a pin that just says Brandon, and when anybody asks you what you are for Christmas, you'll say or Halloween, you'll say you're 3-hole punch Brandon?
Oh, so you know what? I even forgot that reference from The Office. So you know what? I'm not a total
All right, so now
office
I'm
guy.
Now I'm
You're
office
an office
guy. So I don't remember what the exact odds were, but I put $3 down, and if DeGrom wins MVP, I win $153. So $150 profit off a $3 bet. Now, my logic behind it was the Mets are obviously going to be much better. You invested in your bullpen, and DeGrom's the best pitcher in the majors. I think the last pitcher to win MVP was Kershaw. Does that sound right? The last starting pitcher to win MVP?
Should we look it up?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it was Kershaw. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of wins, and I thought the Mets. Let's hope that last night was an anomaly, but I thought that the Mets are going to win a lot of games, and that DeGrom is just going to do insane stuff.
Yeah.
If he gets anywhere near 180, 200 innings pitched, I can't see him not having just insane statistics.
So Kershaw did win it in 2014. He threw 198 and a third innings.
God. And what was the year?
2014. That started.
2014. That's a ton of innings.
Yeah. The number of pitchers to throw 198 innings dropped from 43 that year to just 15 in 2019.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my one worry is that they're
and this year's
going to
be peanuts too. I mean, because of like the lack of a workload last year. I mean, obviously controversy for last night was that they pulled DeGrom after 77 pitches, and he was still throwing 100, 101.
Yeah, that's insane.
And DeGrom was actually okay with that decision because of like the layover with the Nationals, in COVID for the first series.
Yeah, they had him.
So I mean, I think that's a concern, and also the National League just being absolutely stacked. I mean, the NL East alone, they have some MVP candidates in Soto, Acuna, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, Freeman won last year.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's tough, but I didn't know you were doing $3 bets. And honestly, I'm glad you're doing $3 bets because you were worrying me that maybe there's an addiction thing.
That's the thing. I know my dad's listening. It's like, I bet $2 last night, $3. Like, it's just all pennies. But, okay, so another one that I really liked was most home runs in the season, home run leader. $2 wins $40 for Yordan Alvarez.
Oh.
I know we're going to the American League here, but Yordan Alvarez was like the 4th best odds. I think Acuna was first. I don't remember who was second. Pete Alonso, I think, was second. But Yordan, obviously, last season he was a little on edge, and then before that he came in as his rookie. I guess, I don't know, was it one of those weird years with him where it was like he came in for a season, but it wasn't technically his rookie season, kind of like what's going on with Sixto right now?
You're saying last year?
Yeah, for Yordan, but I think he
played in 87 games in 2019, and then
yes, but that didn't count as a full rookie season, right? It's one of those weird things. I don't know
what the plate appearance thing. I mean, he hit 27 bombs in 2019.
Yeah, and if he could easily hit 60, no problem. And when in 2019, Pete had how many? 61, 62? What did he win with? 63, somewhere around there.
Pete had crap. I'm a bad
somewhere
Mets fan. I'm a bad Mets fan.
I'm also just like, hey, Brandon, remember this statistic from 2 years ago? Can you tell it right now? It's Pacoda's back.
He had 53 homers in 2019.
53. Okay, yeah. I gave him a 10 extra. I just think he's completely capable. I hope they move him to first base as a selfish fantasy player because I also have him in our redraft league. But
well, normally Gurriel is going to play first there, right?
Yeah, they can move him to DH, I guess. But Yordan was playing DH primarily right now. He just can't be in the outfield. He's a defensive liability.
Right, yeah, it says it's DH mostly. I like that. I think that's a really great assessment. And also, you kind of get lost with these guys because in 2019 he came up, like I said, 27 homers. 2020 he opted out, I believe, right? For the season?
Yes, or had I think it was injuries. Was it injuries?
Our knowledge isn't showing.
This is American League, baby. We don't even know anything about American League. Yeah, we haven't talked. Well, no, that's not true. We talked Mets.
We always talked Mets.
I was gonna say we.
He sat out after having tested positive for COVID, and he returned in August, and then played 2 games, and then had arthroscopic surgery on both of his knees.
Yes. Okay, I knew there was some sort of weird injury stuff.
So it was a combo.
But yeah, $2 equals $40, and then wins back all of the money that I bet. I think he has only 1 home run right now, and also Nick Castellanos has just been going insane. So I'm getting a little worried that he's going to be leading. But
yeah, I mean Castellanos is a monster. Also, he got suspended 2 games for flexing.
I know. Yeah, baseball. Right when they're embracing the cool aspect of baseball, then they suspend Castellanos for that. So whatever. But that was a bet that I was pretty happy with. This one already looks really bad. Jack Flaherty for NL Cy Young, $5 wins $80. I didn't really have a lot of logic other than Jack Flaherty is good, and if the Cardinals win the division, then they could be fine. I think he had 6 earned runs in his first start though, so not off to a good.
So it's not 2020 where if you have 1 start like that, you're not gonna get the Cy Young. Like DeGrom, had 1 bad start against the Phillies and then 1 against the Fish actually too, where it kind of took him out of the running and Bauer won it. But Bauer. Is that from School Ties? We're going deep movie references today.
Yeah, we really are. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, Jack Flaherty is just fun to watch, and I was kind of assuming he was just going to be really hot out the gate this season. Quite the opposite, but yeah, like you said, this isn't 2020. Like if he has a couple bad starts, it's not the end of the world. It's definitely not the end of his Cy Young campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, not to bring up the man himself again, but he is the standard. I believe when DeGrom won the Cy Young in 2019, I believe that he had like a 7 earned run game in the first month of the season.
Oh, no way.
Something crazy like that. He had like 1 blow up at the beginning, like first couple weeks of the season, and then absolutely coasted from there. So
what
I believe in Flaherty.
Let's look. So his Cy Young season was 2019 and 2018. DeGrom won. Mm-hmm. His WAR was oh my God, his WAR was 10 in 2018 and 8 in 2019. Yeah, that just 2 phenomenal seasons. I mean, if Flaherty does this, then obviously he's gonna win the Cy Young. But I mean, yeah, 1.98 FIP, plus sub 1 whips. Wow, look at us.
So here's what's interesting to me. So
we're math boys now.
We like math this week. So what's interesting to me is you
Yes.
bet.
No, I know exactly what you're going to say.
You bet for DeGrom for MVP, yes, but Flaherty for Cy Young. Listen,
yes,
I know that sometimes when the old fogies vote, I know they get a little confused. I'm not being ageist here, but I'm saying the people that vote for these awards.
No, we can be a little ageist. Yeah, we have a lot of very old baseball writers that have antiquated ideas of how the sport should be played.
When they vote for these awards, I know they get a little confused, but I don't think, if assuming these are in the same universe, this is in the Sam Clark betting cinematic universe, that
the SBCU.
Great job abbreviating that quickly.
Yeah, thank you.
I assume that Flaherty wouldn't win the Cy and DeGrom wouldn't win the MVP.
That would okay. So did you see Uncut Gems?
Yes.
Did you see the movie Uncut Gems? So are you familiar with the idea of what a parlay is, where one bet is dependent on the other bet? Where say I bet Sam's going to talk for 45 minutes, parlayed with Brandon's going to talk 45 minutes. If I talk over 45 minutes and you talk under, the bet's canceled. This isn't a parlay. So these are 2 independent bets. So it doesn't require the Cy Young of going to Flaherty and DeGrom winning MVP, because that would be I should win on a $2 bet like $5,000 if I predict that to happen and it actually comes to fruition. No. Also, I guess I'm just kind of covering my ass, because you would assume that DeGrom would have to win Cy Young if he wins MVP, right?
I would imagine that would be hand in hand, yeah.
I'm checking on that Kershaw season, because that would be very, very, very strange if it was not. All right, we're on Baseball Reference, the only place to figure out any good baseball statistics. This is called stalling. Okay, yeah. No, dude. No, wait, no. Oh my God, I read that wrong. Yeah, he won Cy Young and won MVP. I saw MVP. Okay, this is not looking good for me. But I saw 2017. It said All Star, Cy Young 2, assuming he came in second place for Cy Young, and then MVP 17. And I was like, he won the MVP in 2017 and came in second place in Cy Young. That's not what happened. Okay. I just read that wrong. But yeah, so those are not contingent on one another. Okay. They are not regular. One does not have to come in. So don't worry. I'm not. I was talking to Chris about that. And he brought up the exact same point. But we're moving along. This is my first homer bet and my only bet of any sort of amount of money. This is Marlins over the win total. The win total was 71.5. I put $50 whole on that, Brandon.
I think that's your most logical bet because because I would say you're kind of betting. You're like the Marlins are going to be okay. Like you're like.
Yeah, they're not going to be awful. Yeah, they're not going to lose 100
Yeah,
games.
I don't think... I mean, listen, as we discuss constantly, the division's very tough, and, the Marlins may be getting the short end of the stick in that regard. But over 71.5 wins, they're going to get over that 0.5, yes. I would say. So
you're really, really pulling for that 70-second win. I'll tell you what, I will obviously get into this in a few minutes, but a little nervous about how it's starting for that bet. Moving on. This is my favorite one. This is the one that is going to sound crazy, but for the money, I think it's there. So I put $5 on Zach Greinke having the most wins in baseball.
The Grankman.
My logic is, well, first off, we love Greinke. This podcast, I guess I'm speaking on your behalf, but this podcast loves.
Oh, we love Greinke.
Yes, we love our shy little boy. But my logic is that they're gonna win the division. Greinke is their number one, so he's gonna see the most amount of games. And if they're winning, and he's going against some. I'm trying to not curse on this podcast. He's going against crappy teams in the division. Then he's going to get a ton of wins, dude. I think he can very easily rack it up. I bet $5 to win $200 profit if that were to come true. I think it was plus 4,000. Yeah, so that's obviously a long shot bet. But I feel weirdly good about it. Now, that being said, he won his first game, and right before we started recording, gave up a home run to Mike Trout in the second game. So
if you're going to give it up to Trout, right?
Yes,
I mean, the thing is also
absolute bomb too.
He's in a division that, maybe the Angels have a pretty strong offense, but he's in a division that, he can kind of kick some butt. And also, he seems zen. I don't know if you saw that photo of him just like sitting crisscross applesauce.
I know. Yeah, we got to get Greinke on the pod. I think Greinke would love to get on a pod with 15 listeners and talk about a division that he's never played for.
I think he would prefer 15 listeners. He's like, if there's more than 20, I'm not doing it, all right?
A couple weeks ago, I was just going down a weird YouTube deep dive, and I found like this compilation of Zach Greinke quotes, and it was like him reading the news on his high school announcements, and it was just like this. He had like a puka shell necklace. It was looking like he was straight out of American Pie, and just like reading. It was so funny. I'll have to send it to you. I'm actually feeling good about that. So
The Athletic actually did a fantastic article of like speaking with all of the catchers he's pitched to over his career.
Oh, cool.
And like how they would approach him on the mound, and then they would be okay. What do you want to? The catchers would be like, what do you want to throw to this guy? What do you think in changeup? What do you think in curveball? And Greinke would be like, I'm thinking like I don't know what to do with like my fantasy basketball team right now. Like he was just like he's operating on a different level.
Dude, you gotta love it. You gotta love Greinke. Okay. Also, our outspoken mental illness king. He's like the who was it in the NBA? Kevin Love, I think.
Yeah.
And DeMar DeRozan both came out and were outspoken about their mental illness, and Greinke did the same thing, which we are obviously in full support of encouraging that dialogue.
Absolutely.
Okay, last one, and our last one, coincidentally, a division bet. I have Trey Turner. Sorry. Forgot last name for a second. Trey Turner for most runs scored in Major League Baseball. My logic, I put $10 on this one. This is a steep bet, Brandon. This is a steep bet. Is that he's going to be, if he gets to first, then you can almost guarantee he's getting to second. And if he gets into second, he's in scoring position. And with the bats behind him, I think it's very, very likely that he scores a lot of runs.
Yeah, I think that's great. He actually had a 2-run bomb off Smiley.
No way.
In game one. Yeah. Nationals game one.
Oh.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's great. I mean, obviously, he leads off for them. He's going to see a lot of bases, and he's going to hit the occasional bomb like he did today. I like that. I endorse it.
Yeah. Thank you. So, to my worried parents, I bet under $100. Don't worry. Haven't developed a degenerative gambling habit. Haven't broken into my children's college savings yet. So we're doing okay.
You start a podcast and you think you're Craig Carton and you're like, I'm flying to Atlantic City right before the podcast.
Yeah. Brandon, can you hold off for an hour? I just put 10 on horses. Brandon, if I ever start gambling on the horses, then that's when you know that it's gotten out of control.
The horses are always a problem. Anytime someone gets in on the horses,
always a problem. Horses
are always a problem.
Brandon, it was a rough week for the NL East, though. honestly, more of a rough week for you and I's prediction of the NL East, if I have to be honest. We didn't look good. A lot of our predictions didn't look great off the bat. One of the things that was completely out of our control, though, was obviously the Nationals coming into contact with COVID right before opening day and preventing them from playing all over the weekend and up until 4 p.m. We're recording on Tuesday, 4 p.m. today, having their first game.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing as a Mets fan, because on Wednesday night, the Mets signed Francisco Lindor to a monster extension the night before opening day.
Yeah, we don't even have that in our notes, but honestly, Steve Cohen, the chicken parm worked, baby. Congratulations.
Ooh, parm, baby.
Cheese will always change someone's
mind. I actually
mind.
have a chicken parm story, but it is related to the Mets, so I'm gonna do that story. So in 2006, when the Mets played the Cardinals, Game 7 of the NLCS,
everybody remembers.
As everyone remembers, my mom made chicken parmesan for my father and I. We had it. The Mets lost the game. Now I will never eat chicken parmesan before a big-time Mets game. That's the story.
Oh, my God. Okay. Oh, that's a quick little anecdote. I was like buckling up for a long story, but it was nice and efficient.
Little tidbit there, throwing that out there. So, rule of thumb, don't eat chicken parm before a big baseball game, period. Anyway.
Period.
So
I think the weirdest part about this national story was that it wasn't one position group that got COVID. It seemed like it bounced around. Like, Jan Gomes had it, Josh Bell had it, Kyle Schwarber had it, Patrick Corbin has it, John Lester has it, and Brad Hand has it. My prediction to you earlier was when we first found out about this that it was going to be a bullpen issue, that like one position group that had a lot of people interacting with each other had gotten exposed, and they were about to have like a big implosion in one specific position group. And it doesn't seem like that's the case.
It was
just kind of spread out evenly.
I think Brad Hand was the only piece in the bullpen that got COVID.
Yeah. Brad Hand and Patrick Corbin were the only pitchers.
Yeah, and also I believe it's they can't release it because of HIPAA laws, but I believe it was 4 players got COVID and the other ones are in quarantine, but they possibly could be positive.
Oh, they had been exposed.
Yeah. So, but those are big pieces, man. Big pieces of that team that got knocked out. I mean, last I checked, they were doing okay in the first game. I think they were tied. You know, Scherzer was not pitching great, giving up bombs to Acuna and Freeman,
dude,
and Swanson.
That?
But
right out the gate.
But yeah, I mean, as a Mets fan, like I was saying, the excitement for opening day could not have been higher after the Lindor signing breaking at like 11 p.m. Eastern time.
Late night,
because Lindor's cutoff was opening day to sign the extension with the Mets, or else he would have been a free agent after this year. But yeah, I mean, the excitement couldn't have been higher. And then at noon the next day, just finding out that the Nats, got COVID, and like obviously MLB didn't want to play the series after that.
Makes sense.
Upsetting, obviously, because as Luis Rojas, the Mets manager, said, the Mets were like caged animals. So whatever that means, but
that's a great quote. Yeah, that was a tough break for the Mets too. Just like unable to play baseball for a few days, especially when like everybody else is out having fun. It's like the SpongeBob Squidward meme, whereas like the Mets are inside watching SpongeBob run around. That's a visual reference on an audio medium, so I'm sure that'll go.
Hey, we'll post it. We'll
pick it up.
We'll post it. We'll make our own meme of it.
Nice. At NL Feast. Right? That's our I know tweet. We threw it in very last second. That's our Twitter. That's our tweet. That's our tweet, right? So we're hoping for the best. Obviously, you don't want anybody to get COVID. Brandon is fully vaccinated, and I'm getting poked tomorrow, baby. So, there's not going to be any. Not going to be a lot of big, deep outbreaks in the NL Feast pod universe, mainly because you and I live on opposite coasts. But
I've been coughing in letters and sending them to you in the mail.
I kept wondering why Brandon was sending me all these empty letters, but now it makes sense. Brandon, we were also really wrong about the Phillies. I mean, I know it's still early. It's an undefeated Phillies team right now.
It's early, okay? 162 game season. Obviously, as we know, the Nationals, when they won the World Series, were 500 ball club. First half.
Famously abysmal, not abysmal, but famously not great for the first half of the season.
And yeah, so I mean, I don't want to get too overexcited, or not overexcited, but overstimulated overreactionary. There you go. Yeah. Overreactionary of.
I think we just both made up a word.
I like it. I agree.
But we know,
it's called yes and, baby. Yeah, over the Phillies being 4-0. I mean,
yes.
It seemed like the Braves' offense was a little sleepy that first series, and
weird.
Obviously, the Mets' offense was sleepy, and the bullpen was atrocious. We can kind of attribute that to the layover, as we've mentioned many times. But The Phillies do look good, though. They look good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense was pretty crisp. I think Hoskins made a little bit of a boo-boo at
McCutchen
first.
had like a literally first inning of opening day, just was like gunning people down at home.
Yeah.
We had like Didi making like diving catches. Zach, our friend Zach, texted me and was like, not looking good with your Phillies defense.
Yeah,
prediction. I was like,
I said that Gregorius was like, he doesn't play shortstop anymore. Like first play, he's like, diving over backwards. But yeah, Phillies look good, man. Phillies look good. Again, it's early, but this podcast is going to happen every week. You better bet we're going to be we're going to be making a overreactionary takes. Yeah. I mean, one thing that I would still be concerned with the Phillies, I mean, Matt Moore pitched last night, and he was in Japan last year. He's their fourth starter at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously when he came up with the Rays, he was you'd think he was going to be like, one of the top pitchers,
superstar.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he didn't look great. I mean, he was mowing down the Mets the first couple innings, and they kind of, he was walking some people. The Mets were getting some timely hits, but yeah, I mean, if you can't be going into the stretch with Matt Moore as your fourth and Chase Anderson, who's starting tonight against Stroman for Game 2 in the series, you can't really be going in with those guys fourth, fifth, I think. I mean, obviously,
that's not
Mets, Braves also have some issues at the end of their rotation right now, but I don't know. That's I think where the Phillies' black hole is, but their bullpens look good. I know we were talking mad shit about it.
I know, dude. No earned runs so far through 4 games.
Yeah, and that Alvarado
wild.
kid, nasty. He closed out the game last night.
Dude.
I know he gave up a few hits where it looked like the Mets were
Yeah,
going to
he got
rally.
into a little bit of trouble, but then got himself out. Yeah,
nasty stuff, left-hander.
Also, though, so they finish the series with y'all, the Mets, and then on Friday they do a weekend series against the Braves again. You got to wonder if the Braves are coming back out for blood, though.
Yeah, in Atlanta, right? Yeah. I mean, I think you can imagine. I think Morton and Wheeler are the premier the premier matchup on Friday, so that'll be fun to watch again. But.
Fingies crossed, baby. Fingies crossed. Yeah. What was I going to say? Morton looked good, too. Oh, my God. Okay, I put in – this is we can cut this or keep this. Who knows if this is good content. But I put in Morton's schedule, assuming first off that would give me previous box scores, which obviously didn't. And I'm getting a remote learning schedule for J. Sterling Morton High School.
Oh.
Brandon, you have any interest in that?
Yeah, what's their schedule, actually? Are they –
So it looks like you're already late. Class started at 7 a.m. today, and you're nowhere to be found.
I'm
in a lot of trouble,
the kid that shows up to class, and he's eating, like, Takis and like Red Bull, drinking Red Bull at like 7 a.m. Oh, okay. Last 7 games, he got the loss. 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts.
Oh,
fuck Charlie Morton. Sorry, we curse.
Honestly,
we'll cut the Morton out.
No, we curse. No, we'll keep it. Yeah, fuck Charlie Morton. I said it. I don't care who hears it. Charlie Morton was just kind of like a pitcher that I actually saw a lot of because of all the race fans that were in my life.
Oh, yeah. During free agency, he was like choosing between the Rays and Atlanta, right? Because he wanted to stay in the Southeast.
Yeah.
Not Marlins, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't.
Not Marlins. No, there's no space for him. We can't have an old man. Our oldest starting pitcher right now is like 26, 27. There's no room for a Charlie Morton on that. Are you kidding me?
That's true.
Brandon, the Braves lost the All-Star weekend, though. They have no more All-Star game being played in Atlanta right now.
You know what? Honestly, I'm glad that MLB took a stance because normally Manfred and the boys upstairs are normally, like we were saying earlier, it's a bit antiquated. And I think that's why baseball hasn't kept up with basketball and like captured younger people's imagination and excitement. So I think it's great that they took a stand. I mean, obviously, I feel bad for some people in Atlanta, but.
I think that's where about as far as my
that's about it. Maybe some people that small businesses that could have reaped the benefits from it. But no, I think it's a great decision. I think and I also think it's hilarious that they have a weird gray patch on their sleeve right now. Did you see that?
Dude, isn't that so funny? Yeah, it's just like
so
a straight covered up very.
Like, why is it that I can go down to Lids and get a Mets jersey, but they couldn't get fresh jerseys?
Proper. Yeah, like Jazz wanted to just change jerseys in the middle of games and had no problem because his jersey got dirty sliding into home base, but they can't find a way to properly cover up an All-Star game thing. Very strange.
I was going to say, I think that they didn't bring the equipment manager to Philadelphia. I really do. I really think that's what happened. It must have been
a really
right?
good guess. Yeah, that's a really good guess. Brandon, I saw this I think it's 538. A buddy of mine sent this. Respondents were asked whether they supported or opposed MLB's decision to move its All-Star game and draft out of Atlanta in response to Georgia's new election law. Now, you would assume that baseball fans would be the people that are like old dudes, like we were talking, antiquated sport, antiquated fans. But surprisingly, avid MLB fans, 45% of them strongly supported the move out of Atlanta, which really surprised. And then like 20% somewhat supported, and then 10% didn't. So it was really like 28% had any sort of opposition to it.
Where was the poll?
Really surprising.
Was it on?
I think this is 538. Also,
okay. I was gonna say if it was on Twitter.
Democrats,
you know.
Yeah, some dude just saw it. 45 people responded, Brandon, and 45% of those 45 people considered themselves avid MLB fans. But yeah, so it's kind of good to see that like the sport has fans that are I guess on the right side of history. We're immediately alienating any Republican fans that we have, but I think also we kind of don't care about that.
Well, I think
sayonara.
Bye. I think it was such an obvious and like an egregious attack because, not to get political once again, but because the Democrats swept in the election. Yes, I think it was just an obvious attack.
Blue for the first time.
They're trying to make who they're trying to make it a little bit more difficult to get minority folks to go out there and vote. So,
but again, kudos to the MLB for actually taking the right side on something.
I think Manfred knew he would get even more heat if they didn't do something. And they announced today that it's actually going to be. I think Ken Rosenthal leaked it that it's going to be in Colorado, which is great.
I know. Yeah. Famously conservative state of Colorado. Yeah. Good to see, though. We're good to see. The Marlins had a tough week, though. We lost Alicia Hernandez is placed on the 10-day IL. I don't know if you saw that.
I did, yeah. Bicep tendonitis, right?
Bicep. Yeah. He just I thought it was blister issues. That's what it seemed to be initially, was that he was having some blister issues because he's had them in the past. And then he just got a strikeout and was immediately like, hey, come get me out of the game. Wow. Which you don't love to see. But yeah, so he's on the 10-day IL. And then this is the first time I had heard of this happening. Garrett Cooper was on the 10-day IL, the COVID 10-day IL. He's already back. This was yesterday for an adverse reaction to the second dose of the vaccine. Isn't that wild?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was wondering about that because I know actually the Mets, they just announced that I think they're offering the first shot of Pfizer to the boys on Thursday. Chances are...
Oh, nice.
Chances are if some percentage of them get it, which is also a topic we can discuss. Then you'd imagine some people are going to go to the IL for that. But there's a little bit of controversy in Mets land in that regard because players like J.D. Davis and Michael Conforto came out and said, it's a personal decision. Which is I understand because also I understand to an extent because it's a personal decision to do anything with your body, of course.
Yes.
With that being said, when it affects other people,
specifically your teammates, you would think that they would have some sort of issue with alienating their teammates because it's that thing if 85% of players and tier 1 staff get vaccinated, then they get looser restrictions, looser COVID restrictions. They can go out to eat more. They can they don't have to wear masks all the time, which you would think would be motivating factor enough for people who don't want to get the vaccine for whatever reason.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Brandon's got 5G coursing through his veins since he's vaccinated.
My laptop still doesn't work, though.
You are an X-Man now. That was the weirdest part.
I'm just bald and in a wheelchair now.
No superpowers. Just bald and disabled.
Shit, I got the Professor Xavier.
This vaccine. But yeah, we also had some bullpen implosions, Brandon. It very much felt like we just sucked up all your Mets energy over the weekend and lost a 1-0 game to the Rays on opening day. Sandy pitched 6 innings of unearned, 6 innings of no runs baseball, and then immediately gave up a 1-run shot, and that was it. And then I think it was Saturday we lost on Joey Wendell, Mr. Baseball, hit a 3-run shot in the top of the 8th or bottom of the 8th, and it would have been the top of the 8th. And it put them up. We were up, I think 3-5, and then they were up 6-5 by the end of it. And
I think there was a sac fly after that. What's the feeling in Marlins land on Mr. Bass being the closer? Is that a title he's going to stick to?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
I haven't seen him since he blew that save, honestly, which is weird because normally Donnie's been pretty straightforward about who his closer is and keeps going back to the guy. No, the most interesting thing that the Marlins did, so when we put the two dudes on IL, we brought up Nieder, Nick Nieder, who's like a prospect that'll be pitching in the fifth spot of the rotation until Sixto comes back. And this Jordan Holloway dude, who's like a top 20 Marlins prospect, like pretty deep in the farm system. And he threw 2 innings of no-run baseball yesterday in relief and looked really good and has a mustache, which I'm in full support of. But feelings of Marlins land right now, I mean, we could this could just turn into the Jazz Chisholm podcast if you want. I mean, Jazz was just everywhere. Him and his blue hair were just lighting up in Marlins land. He's hitting well. He walked, stole second, stole third, and then tagged up on a shallow fly ball and slid into home. And it was just like immediately endeared himself forever to Marlins fans. Like, we are just very clearly head over heels with him. He was on the Chris Rose rotation, this John Boy podcast that I was listening to, where Miguel Rojas, the Marlins starting shortstop, is one of the co-hosts, and he did like a 30, 45-minute interview. And the dude is just like so charismatic. He just so engaging, so much fun to listen to. I just am big knock on wood, but it feels like we might have a superstar in the making around here.
Yeah, you love to see it. I mean, honestly, like, the blue hair alone and just like bringing that excitement, that's exactly what we were talking about where like baseball is antiquated.
Yes.
When you look to players like that and Lindor and Tatis, who unfortunately just got injured.
Yeah, ripped his shoulder up.
Yeah, but when you look to those guys, I mean, you kind of do see some hope in the baseball world. And
for sure. Acuna.
Acuna, Albies as well. Stroman, yeah. I mean, some guys that can bring a little flavor to the field. And Castellanos, I mean, even though he just got suspended, that's what's wrong with it, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's really exciting for you guys. And my question, though, as a Marlins fan, is where does that leave Diaz? Because it seemed like when Diaz came up, and he hit that bomb against DeGrom in his first game, like, it seemed like he was going to be the next stud, and he was pretty exciting to watch too. So, like, where does that leave him? Is he going to be trade bait or move to another position?
I would assume that he has like one more shot. Like, he's going to get called up sometime this season when there's injuries. But if he doesn't show, I don't know who's going to buy him from us. He was part of the Yelich trade. I don't know who's going to buy him from us. And then I think that means that entire Yelich trade was awful. It's not good. I mean, Monte Harrison still is like a couple more years in the minors may do him well, but. Also, another exciting dude. Speaking of dudes that are just like you want to watch play, Monte's there. The bat never showed up. Yeah, I mean, as of right now, there's no doubt in my mind that Isan is not going to play second base if Jazz is there. Miguel Rojas on that podcast came out and said that he would be willing to change positions because he was very well aware that Jazz is a primary shortstop, and Miguel Rojas plays shortstop. He was like, I'll play anywhere for this team, which is obviously what you love to hear. So, yeah, though, just for the Diaz train, I mean, he looked really bad in spring training. And unless there's injuries, I can't imagine him getting called up anytime soon. We have the middle infield seems pretty decent where it is right now.
Well, he's still a young guy. I mean, but, also it's possible that there is like a prospects that have fallen off trade that Marlins could always look to do, right?
Yeah. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Well, otherwise, we're going to be DFAing Brinson here by the end of it. I don't know. He showed up once in the first 4 games we played and didn't look that great. So, and I love Sweet Lou. He really endeared himself to me last year during the COVID season. He's just really thought he found his position hitting lefties and just hasn't looked great so far. So we're wishing him the best. Sweet Lou, come join us on NL Feast. We'll talk to you.
I think what's unfortunate just because the Marlins, you end up seeing all of their prospects even if they're not ready, right? Like once the Marlins traded Stanton and Yelich and all that. It's not like, if you're on a team that, like the Braves, like if some of their prospects aren't doing great in the minors, they're not going to bring them up. Like you guys kind of...
Yeah, exactly.
The Marlins, were going to because they had a spot and, like, let's see what they're, working with. So you're going to see all of them, and unfortunately you're going to be set up for some disappointment with a couple of them, unfortunately.
Absolutely. But like we've said, we still have like Blade to come up. Max Myers is going to come up. We still have some of our top prospects that I haven't seen Major League play. But Brandon, you know what time it is, right?
Oh, is it story time?
It's story time. 60-second story time. In case you didn't tune into last podcast, this is where we give each other 60 seconds to try to cram a story into that one full minute. And astonishingly, it didn't go very well last week. It did not go well. Neither Brandon and I would say, got through a third of our stories. But here it goes. Brandon, do you have a story that you're going to... You have an idea of what you're going to tell so far? Okay, because I definitely have a story. I definitely could think of one. Don't you worry. I've got it in the bag. All right, Brandon. Cool. We have the timer going. I'll give you a countdown, and then we'll begin. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, hold on. Accidentally started it. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so we were talking Nirvana earlier today. Coincidentally, I was at my friend's house. We're both vaccinated, so I saw him for the first time in person. And he's at his parents' place right now. They live in a nice area of L.A. Next door to him is a guitar player for a famous 90s band, not Nirvana, but for a famous 90s band.
Are we going to be ambiguous with it?
Let me sit on it. Maybe I'll bring it up later.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't know if there might be a legal issue because when I was leaving his house at night, there was 2 cops at the house and a blonde woman was outside, and she looks at us and goes, "Hey, do you guys have cameras there?" And Alec goes, God. "Yes, we do." She goes, "Can I borrow it? Because my ex-boyfriend threatened my friend, and now she's missing."
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe don't say the name of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the name of it. God. And then apparently I found out that my friend and his parents spoke with him, and apparently...
Oh, no, that's enough, Brandon. Sorry, you got to stop talking. Brandon, you did it, though, dude.
I pretty much did it. There's more, but I pretty much did it.
You learned from last week. That 60 seconds is not nearly as much time as you think it is, and I'm impressed. Frankly, I'll go as far as to say I'm impressed.
Oh my God, thank you. Just if you want to know what the band is, think of like the top 5 grungy ones. Top 10 maybe.
Is their initial? Oh, top 10. I was gonna say, is their initial PJ?
No, not PJ.
No, okay. All right. Can we get initials? Is it
if I gave initials away, you would know. I'm going to say that.
Okay. All right. Is it POD?
Ooh, it's pod, baby. No, it's not.
No, man. I was like, is pod even grunge? I don't know. All right, Brandon. I definitely have a story, and I'm going to start it.
I don't think you have a story.
No. All right, I'm going to start the timer right now. Brandon, I just want to let you know, I definitely have a story. I'm very excited to tell you it. This was thought out. I put it in the show guidelines or little show notes. I wrote 60-second stories right in between our last rough week for the NL East podcast and our upcoming series, which is what we're going to do later. And my story is really entertaining. So obviously last week, we talked about the cell phone thing. Didn't get to finish it. That's traditional 60-second story time. That's just how it goes sometimes. You start a story, you just sit there, you're talking, you never finish it, and before you even get to the best part of the story. And that's what you did so well this time, Brandon, is that you had a story, you knew what it was going to be, you told it in your allotted 60 seconds, and before you knew it, you got the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, conclusion. Maybe you didn't tie the ribbon on it as well as you'd like to, which I feel like is what's going to happen to me. So earlier this week when I was sitting down with some friends at the Brandon, I ran out of time.
Oh, it was so good. It was just getting good. God. You're at the dinner table?
I was at the... I did exactly the opposite of what you did, which was I took too much time, Brandon. I didn't even get to start the Act 1 of my story. It was poor planning on my part.
I think you should have loaned me your 60 seconds so I could finish the grunge story, mister.
Brandon, that's not how this works. In 60-second stories, you are allotted 60 seconds to tell one story. And again, I'm going to beat this horse to death. You told a remarkable 60-second story. This is like was it the Hemingway, like the saddest 5-word story of all time?
Baby shoe never worn?
Baby shoes for sale, never worn. Yeah. Maybe we'll start doing that. What's the saddest baseball story you can tell in 5 words?
That's fun. I like that.
Okay,
Edwin Diaz is in the game.
Mets up, Edwin walking up. Brandon, we have some interesting upcoming series, though. The Mets and Marlins play this weekend.
I know. We're going to be heated. We're going to be at the edge of our seat texting up a storm.
Okay, please, I got to ask your opinion on something before we dive fully into the series. What is your opinion on attending baseball games in the current COVID situation? Because I'm not going to lie, that Sunday 1 o'clock game is looking good for me. It's Marlins-Mets. We don't come back until August. I'll have one shot at that point. It's socially distanced pods outside with masks on. I feel good, but I also will feel strange attending any sort of public event at this point.
I mean, it's going to be strange for a while. I mean, like I said, I'm double vaxxed now.
Okay, brag much.
I'm double vaxxed now, and we've done some small get-togethers inside, but it feels weird. No, I really haven't done any true get-togethers or dining experience or anything like that. If I were you, I would maybe wait for the second one, but also you're outdoors. I think they
That's
space
my logic.
it out.
Thank you.
You ride the subway anyway,
on.
so like, what's the difference? So
also, though it's weird, it's not weird. It's appropriate protocol, especially compared to what was going on in the Texas Rangers game. But like, you need one of three things to gain entrance besides a ticket. You need either a negative PCR test. It's one of those like long-term tests. You need to have a negative PCR test within the last 72 hours, or a negative rapid test within the last 6 hours, or full vaccination. You need to have proof of full vaccination.
Gotcha. Or a golden ticket from Steve Cohen.
Or a golden ticket. One plate of chicken parmesan presented to the ticket counter upon arrival. So that makes me feel a little bit better. But if it's a 1 o'clock game, like I have to get up and go to City MD at like 8 in the morning then to get my 6 hour beforehand.
The rapid, yeah.
It's a whole thing. So I'm a little on the fence about it. But tickets are only $20, which kind of surprised me considering it's at 20% capacity.
Oh wow, yeah. That is crazy, because I thought it would be mostly like season ticket holders. You know what?
People don't want to see the Marlins.
What I'll say is, I'll say what all the Mets players have been saying, and it's a personal choice. It's a personal choice.
No, this JD Davis guy, he gets a bad rap. I'll tell you what. I think he's not so bad of a guy anymore. I think it'll be a really interesting series, though. Obviously, we won't play each other until much later in the season, which will be interesting in and of itself, just because to see where the two teams are at that point. And I think we'll be post-trade deadline in August. So, like,
I
could
the
see
next
a Marlins
time?
team that doesn't have. Yeah, I think it's mid-August.
What?
August and September we play. Yeah,
how's that possible? That means we would have like 16 games together or something in the last 2 months. Is that right? I believe you. I'm not doubting you. It just surprises me.
Brandon, put your gun away, dude. I'm just telling you what I know.
Don't lie to me, bro.
So, okay, if we're going based on StubHub, we could also look on the schedule. Yeah, dude, it's April, and then August 31st is the next game. Oh, this is in New York. Sorry, I should have prefaced that. We'll probably play,
gotcha. Okay.
But this is the next time that they'll be in New York. Is August 31st, September 2nd, and then end of September. Our last game of the season is against you guys.
Hey, you know what? I'll say this. If you go on Sunday, you can get a Mets mask. That's a promotional item. So that's promotional.
Oh,
Mets mask, baby.
Damn, I wish you lived in South Florida and I lived in New York so that I could just ship you all of the attendance items that I get, and you could ship me all the attendance items you get. They had Marlins beer, dude. I want to have a Marlins beer. I got to see what the
what do you mean they have their own
lager is all about.
Their own like brewery there, like fish brew.
Some local brewer, yes, fish brew. Yeah.
Fish brew.
It's called fish piss, dude. It sounds disgusting.
Fish piss.
Yeah, it's just some local brewery that made like Marlins themed beer. Like, oh, by the way, this is very personal to you and I. Nobody else will get this, but I was at the store the other day and I saw Golden Road at our local supermarket.
Oh wow, they're expanding. That's
Road.
an LA staple out here. It's mango cart season. They do the fruity beers in the summer. This podcast, by the way, have you ever been outside and you're with your friends barbecuing? Nothing more refreshing than a mango cart by Golden Road Brewery.
If you love Mango Cart by Golden Road Brewery, you'll love fish piss. But yeah, dude, I think that'll be a lot of fun. DeGrom versus Undecided on Saturday. That would be a lot of fun. Maybe I just go to that game instead of the Sunday game.
Is Undecided a prospect? Or?
Undecided is probably because we have 3 healthy starting pitchers right now. If I had to take a guess. We're going to hit our hour mark again, dude. We're really nailing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we have Phillies versus Braves, Nationals versus Dodgers. Nationals versus Dodgers will be really fun.
Yeah, and also, we neglected to mention with the Phillies Braves, the Braves acquired Orlando Arcia today. Can we talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Talk to me a little bit about that. I didn't recognize the other 2, I'm assuming, prospects that they gave up to get him. But
no, I think there were 2 relief guys. Sabatka is one of them, not a hockey player. There's a hockey player named Sabatka.
That's big hockey. That's big hockey player energy name.
Yeah. Chad Sabatka and Patrick Weigel went from the Braves to the Brewers for Arcia. But Patrick Weigel. But I think... RC is kind of a head scratcher move for me. I mean, obviously you can never, have too much infield depth, but the guy was the starter for the Brewers. I know they have a prospect coming up for the Brewer crew, but obviously the Braves have Swanson, and to me it kind of says that maybe they
Albies,
don't.
Like if you assume that maybe they move him over.
What are you gonna say?
I said, yeah, and then they also obviously have Albies on the right side of the middle infield, so like there's not a lot of room for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I know he plays a little third base, and I wonder if it's them not trusting Austin Riley defensively.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So that's kind of my theory, because I know also...
I don't think he's been hitting very well.
Yeah, and I think it was the first game that the Phillies walked it off against them. Riley was playing surprisingly shallow on like the walk-off hit by, I think it was Segura, got the walk-off hit.
Oh, weird. That's interesting.
He was playing surprisingly shallow. It's like he may have could have nabbed that hit that landed. So, I'm wondering if they're feeling a little shaky on Riley or maybe a late defensive replacement. But, yeah, I mean, exciting series coming up overall this weekend between Mets, Marlins, Phillies, Braves, some NL East dogfights.
I love a good dogfight. I'm really looking forward to seeing this Mets series too. Obviously, like you're a Mets fan, so there'll be a lot of playful banter between the two of us. But also, good friend and listener of the pod, Chris Rowland, big Mets fan, so I'll probably be watching some of those games with him. And while I did have a very antagonistic relationship with the Mets last season, mainly because we were competing for the same playoff spot, it's fun. I'm glad you guys are a fun baseball team to root for right now. And when you're not playing the Marlins and not pushing us out of the playoffs, I wish you the best.
Thank you. I wish the Marlins the best as well. And obviously, like we're like parting. We're like, and I wish the Marlins the best. And
to the Marlins, I wish you the best.
I'm excited to see Jazz play for you all, and I'm always excited to see Brian Anderson and some of your young studs. So I'm very excited for that. And I think Stroman's starting against you all against Undecided on Sunday, right?
Yes, which would be fun for me too, because I just Marcus Stroman's fun. I think Marcus
Stroman's
great
guy,
for baseball, and he's just a fun guy. I'm a big Stro guy. Brandon, you want to do Feast or Famine? I know we're pushing towards our hour, so if you want to do it, if you want to just move right all along. Okay, all right. My first feast, and we'll blaze through this. Maybe this should have been my 60-second timer. My first feast is obviously Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom is just like Marcus Stroman. It's just good for baseball, man. It's fun to watch him out there. He's I think he threw 7 of his fastest 25 pitches in his career last outing. What was it? Does that sound right? Just like throwing absolute heat, great breaking balls, dotting up corners. It's like not the dude you want to be on the other end of. And it's just fun to watch him play. I can't wait to continue this full 162 game season, get 7 months of Jacob deGrom like we all deserve. And I'm sure you're even happier than I am.
No, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great pick. This is pretty much the DeGrom pod. I feel like we compare everything to DeGrom. But, like, I mean, it's true, though. We're really not being, I'm not being a homer. And, like, obviously that, I mean, he's, like you said, I mean, for all the reasons you listed, he's just the absolute best. And, if the Mets don't get this guy, some playoff starts, he hasn't pitched in the playoffs since 2015,
that's it.
Yeah, it'll be disappointing. So, and he might look to leave the team. But, that's a sad note, but no. I mean, I think that's a great one.
Brandon, come on.
He might leave the team, but no. I'm really looking forward to seeing him pitch against the Marlins and seeing him pitch over the full year.
Give us your feast. What was your feast? This last week?
So my feast this week is, I think we're looking at a Braves comeback. The Braves are currently, as we record this, they're up 5-4 to the Nationals. I think we're looking for a Braves comeback after they got swept by the Phillies in the first series.
We're missing a great game.
We're missing a great game here, yeah.
The things we sacrifice for the MLB feast, or the NL feast.
We are the MLB feast, though.
That's true, frankly. The Nirvana feast podcast.
The unnamed 90s grunge bag.
Whose acronyms will give away who we're talking about.
Will.
We will not be discussing that.
But yeah, no, I think a Braves comeback. I mean, they're not going to be getting swept all year, if at all. I mean, you saw it today. I mean, Acuna hit 2 bombs, Freeman hit a bomb, Swanson hit a bomb. The team's great. I think this is just a little early season blemish. And also, they were in all the games against the Phillies. Their offense was a little sleepy. Their bullpen gave up a run here or there. So, once again, the only thing I'm worried about the Braves, back into that rotation. But I think the Braves are going to have a nice little comeback against the Nationals and the Phillies, like you said, looking for some blood.
Looking for some blood. And then my famine, Brandon, it's probably the only part of this Marlins game I'm going to catch is our bullpen looks bad, dude. That was the one thing that we were trying to invest in the offseason specifically. Obviously, we got Adam Duvall, who's been kind of just like a utility outfielder / pinch hitter. But Anthony Bass was the other big signing, and he blew his first save. And that's not something that you want. I mean, obviously, you're familiar with bullpen woes. We both are right now, and it's just truly one of the most frustrating parts about baseball is when you have great starting pitching and they're performing as well as they are. It's like specifically all 3 of our starters. Obviously, Hernandez left early, but like And Trevor Rogers, we didn't even get to Trevor Rogers. Maybe that should be my Famine. Abysmal first inning, and then got sat down and talked to by Mattingly, and came out and threw 3 great innings of pitched baseball. But yeah, dude, bullpens suck. I hate bullpens. They're so frustrating. It's the moment they come in, I'm like, oh yeah, we're done. This game's over. I don't have any confidence. And if I'm feeling that way on my couch, I can't imagine how the players are feeling.
There's nothing more heartbreaking than a bullpen loss. And like you said, I know it so well. But, I mean, in the playoffs, when you see that, it's just like they're so finicky. And I think, just because they have a smaller sample size, a closer comes in for 1 inning, you see them blow it. But if you see a starting pitcher pitch 7 innings and have 1 bad inning, you kind of forgive it, right? But just because they have 1 inning, blow the game towards the end, it just never feels good. It never looks good. My Famine for this week is actually a Nationals post-COVID struggle. Obviously, today as we record this, they're on the first game losing right now 5-4. But, I mean, like we said earlier at the beginning of the podcast, there are huge pieces missing right now. And they're going to be out, I assume, for 10 plus days. They signed Jonathan Lucroy to do the catching duties. And, I mean, obviously, great veteran catcher.
That man will never die.
He will never die.
He will never die.
I feel like he probably didn't play baseball once and was just drinking beer all off season. And he's like, sure, I'll put the gear on.
Yeah, mango carton fish piss just coursing through his veins right now.
He's a big fish piss guy. Yeah, no. But no, I really do think the Nationals, we might see a little struggle, especially with them coming out here to L.A. and playing the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Ugh. I feel like that might get a little dicey for them. So I feel like the Braves are gonna feast on the weaker Nats, and I feel like they're gonna have a rough series against the Dodgers as well. So that's my Famine.
Yeah. I completely agree, Brandon. Well, that wraps up Feast and Famine. And also wraps up our podcast. Good job, Brandon. We did it again. We got 2 in a row of remarkably great content. Before we go, though, we want to remind everybody that a great way to support the podcast, if you haven't already, is to rate and review us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. I don't really understand how algorithm works. This is not a math podcast, but if I did, I would assume that would help us. And to encourage you to continue to rate and review our podcast, I'm going to read our most recent reviews, Brandon. Are you ready for this?
Oh, my God. We have reviews? Yes, please.
Yes, I reached out to a few people and said, hey, if you leave a review, I'll read it on the podcast as long as it's not too inappropriate. And while I haven't read these yet, I should maybe have done that. I'm going to assume that there's not a lot of vulgar content. So first review was Thursday, brought to us by none other than Randy Arozarena. Speaking of which, did you see Randy's diving catch yesterday? What a fantastic grab, dude.
Oh, wow.
If you haven't seen it yet,
honestly,
I'll link it to you.
Him winning a GG, that may have been a good bet on your end.
Oh, that's a great one. Randy said, a feast for the ears, 5 stars, baseball emoji. So, Randy, you're a man of few words, and I respect that. Thank you for the review. And
thank you for taking the time. I know you're just getting into the season, Randy.
I know, yeah, it's a tough place to be. Also on Thursday was from Mickey Sinjin, which I think is my roommate, Michael San Juan. You haven't met Michael?
I don't know him.
Oh, good. So this is just a completely unbiased review. Let that be known. He said, super tight. I got bullied off of my little league team, and I'm integrating this pod into my life to recuperate from the trauma. Hard ride, but these 2 baseball boys really make it easy with their light banter and informational takes. And Brandon, I'd agree with at least the former. I don't know about the latter, but the former sounded good to me. Our light banter is on point.
Light banter, I hope he likes Nirvana too, or if I hope he likes Nirvana. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, otherwise skip this pod, dude. I don't know what you're doing listening to it. Informational takes, big question mark on that one today. Charlie Morton, who? Moving along. And this is from AYY dash AYY, written on Friday. Non-baseball fan turned baseball fan. I watch no baseball, don't follow anything related to baseball. Sam and Brandon have piqued my interest. Fun podcast. Brandon, that's a great review. You got to love that.
Hey, if we can convert someone to like baseball, that's why we're here, man.
Honestly, just one listener at a time, all 15 of you. It sounds like none of our listeners watch baseball, but hey, who knows? Maybe we can change that with enough hard work.
I think they should pipe this into elementary schools. Get them in early, get them interested in baseball, show them jazz.
It's honestly jazz. Yeah, blue hair. Who doesn't like blue hair? You got to be a troll to not like blue hair. But Brandon, that does it for us. Why don't you plug your Twitter account before we get out of here?
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to plug my Twitter account. I'm going to plug Luke Valentine Art. Luke Valentine Art on Instagram. He's the gentleman that made our beautiful logo that we might get a cease and desist for, but it's a great logo. That's
who's to say?
Respect. But we might get a cease and desist for it. It's obviously, as you're listening to this podcast, you can see that it's all of the NL East mascots as one monster. And Luke did a fantastic job. Follow his art, buy his art. Check out his graphic novel, Luke Valentine Art, on Instagram.
Awesome plug. And also Brando Grosso, BrandoGrosso. I didn't forget Brandon. I'm pretty proud of myself. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe, do whatever it is that you would normally do for any podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at SlimProTV, SlimMPROTV, for any baseball takes, and Samuel Adam Clark, just so that anything that I like might show up in your feed, because I'm not tweeting from that very much anymore. And follow us on our Twitter account, which is NL Feast Pod, at NL Feast Pod. Let me double check to make sure that is true, because last time I did this, it was not true. And Brandon, it says it is at Nearpod, Nearpod. No, that's not it. Don't follow that. That is a spelling mistake from Google. You can just search us. You'll figure this out. Any final words, Brandon, before we get out of here?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you next week.